Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. If you celebrate Christmas, I hope that you have all enjoyed your celebrations. Today is Boxing Day here in Canada. So for us, that really just means it's a sleep-in day. It's a quiet day to just relax. And for me, it meant that I had time to finish up reading all of Margaret Atwood's books. So this is the second last episode of the Mondays with Margaret series. Today we will be talking about the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, The Testaments, which was published in 2019, 35 years after The Handmaid's Tale, and it won the Booker Prize that year, along with Bernardine Evaristo, who won for Girl, Woman, Other. And my copy has been flat signed, which means that the autograph is just the author's name. There's no inscription in this one. I was curious about this book for a couple of reasons. When it was published, it had been almost, 25 years since I had read The Handmaid's Tale. And I think that I had just continued that book in my head by thinking, that everything was going to be okay. Everything was fine. It was complete for me. So I was curious how Atwood would approach writing a sequel. And then second, once I reread The Handmaid's Tale as part of this booktube series, and I've also watched the series, I wondered how much that would influence the story. And I know that Atwood has been, a big part of the series and that she's given her blessing on it. And I also watched an interview with her where she said that the only thing she told them was to not kill off Aunt Lydia. So the first thing that struck me is that it wasn't over when I started reading this, and that Gilead didn't just end, although that was the easiest thing for me to imagine after The Handmaid's Tale. So this story picks up 15 years later, and I also really liked how Atwood approached this novel. It's told by three women. One of them is Aunt Lydia, and I loved how Atwood gave her a story, especially her backstory. It allowed us to go back and see how Gilead became what it did. So Aunt Lydia is definitely a character, that is easy to judge as mean and cruel. But the way that Atwood tells Aunt Lydia's story shows her as a person and also someone who is just trying to survive like everyone else. So in the novel, Aunt Lydia's story is told through a manuscript that she is writing. And she now has a statue made of her in Gilead as a founder of the Aunts of Gilead, and people pay respect and pay tribute to her through this statue. They leave offerings for her, and she is revered. The other two narrators tell their stories as witnesses, giving their testimonies. So Agnes, who grew up in Gilead, her mother dies when Agnes is quite young, and her father's new wife wants to marry her off to a commander. And of course, there's lots of privileges that come with marriage. And Agnes's best friend, Becca, is also expected to be married off. And the two of them have to make choices about these marriages and whether or not they will go through with it, and if they don't, how they will get out of it. And then the third narrator is Daisy, who is 16 and whose parents are killed. And Daisy learns about her true identity and the important role that she plays in the chance to overthrow the Republic of Gilead. But it is very risky. And I don't want to give spoilers away, which is really hard with this one. But I will say that there are some very unexpected twists. The three women do connect and they have significance to each other. And in some ways, this is like a reimagining of The Handmaid's Tale. This part of the story does change some things that I thought about The Handmaid's Tale. Or maybe it's more like the Year of the Flood and Mad Adam are to Oryx and Crake. So the Year of the Flood, you might remember, tells the same story as Oryx and Crake. And there is some of that in the Testaments where we learn about Gilead and, what is happening, but it's from a different perspective. But like Mad Adam, it is also a continuation. There is movement in time and plot, and the final part of the book takes place in the future, in like 2197. So the themes of The Handmaid's Tale continue in this story as well. Power, for sure, the patriarchal society that they're in, how women are used in the society, religion, vengeance, and then of course there's the strong female characters, which I always really enjoy. There are a few of Atwood's characters that I really feel a connection to, or that remain with me after reading them. So the characters in The Handmaid's Tale, for whatever reason, have always stuck with me. And I think that this is a continuation of those characters, obviously, so it has fleshed them out more, and I really enjoyed how this was written. And the writing itself, I think, was just fantastic. I do want to read a piece for you to show you the brilliant writing and the style, and this is a bit of Aunt Lydia's backstory. And this starts, I thought I had marked it, but on page 176. During these initial sessions, I took stock of my fellow founders. For as founders, we would be revered in Gilead. Commander Judd had promised. If you are familiar with school playgrounds of the rougher sort, or with henyards, or indeed with any situation in which the rewards are small but the competition for them is fierce, you will understand the forces at work. Despite our pretense of amity, indeed of collegiality, the underlying currents of hostility were already building. If it's a henyard, I thought, I intend to be the alpha hen. To do that, I need to establish pecking rights over the others. In Vidala, I had already made an enemy. She had seen herself as the natural leader, but that view had been challenged. She would oppose me in every way she could, but I had an advantage. I was not blinded by ideology. This would give me a flexibility she lacked in the long game ahead of us. Of the other two, Helena would be the easiest to steer, as she was the most unsure of herself. She was plump at that time, though she has dwindled since. One of her former jobs had been with a lucrative weight loss company, she told us. That was before she'd segued into PR work for a high-fashion lingerie company and had acquired an extensive shoe collection. Such beautiful shoes, she mourned before Vidala shut her down with a frown. Helena would follow the prevailing wind, I decided, and that would work for me as long as I was that wind. Elizabeth was from a higher social sphere, by which I mean, very obviously, higher than mine. It would lead her to underestimate me. She was a Vassar girl, and had worked as an executive assistant to a powerful female senator in Washington, presidential potential. She had confided, but the think tank had broken something in her. Her birthright and education had not saved her, and she was dithery. One by one, I could handle them. But if they combined into a mob of 3, I would have trouble. Divide and conquer would be my motto. Keep steady, I told myself. Don't share too much about yourself. It will be used against you. Listen carefully. Save all clues. Don't show fear. Week by week, we invented. Laws, uniforms, slogans, hymns, names. Week by week, we reported to Commander Judd, who turned to me as the spokeswoman of the group. For those concepts he approved, he took the credit. Plaudits flowed his way from the other commanders. How well he was doing. Did I hate the structure we were concocting? On some level, yes. It was a betrayal of everything we'd been taught in our former lives, and of all that we'd achieved. Was I proud of what we managed to accomplish, despite the limitations? Also, on some levels, yes. Things are never simple. For a time, I almost believed what I understood I was supposed to believe. I numbered myself among the faithful for the same reasons that many in Gilead did, because it was less dangerous. What good is it to throw yourself in front of a steamroller out of moral principles and then be crushed flat like a sock emptied of its foot? Better to fade into the crowd and piously praising unctuous, hate-mongering crowd. Better to hurl rocks than to have them hurled at you. Or better for your chances of staying alive. They knew that so well, the architects of Gilead. Their kind has always known that. I will record here that, some years later, after I had tightened my grip over Ardua Hall, and had leveraged it to acquire the extensive though silent power in Gilead that I now enjoy, Commander Judd, sensing that the balance had shifted, sought to propitiate me. "I hope you have forgiven me, Aunt Lydia," he said. "For what, Commander Judd?" I asked in my most affable tone. Could it be that he might have become a little afraid of me? The stringent measures I was forced to take at the outset of our association, he said, in order to separate the wheat from the chaff. "Oh," I said, "I am sure your intentions were noble." "I believe so, but still, the measures were harsh." I smiled, said nothing. "I spotted you as wheat right from the beginning," I continued to smile. "Your rifle contained a blank," he said. "I thought you would like to know." "So kind of you to tell me," I said. The muscles of my face were beginning to hurt. Under some conditions, smiling is a workout. If I were to have the opportunity, I would ask Margaret Atwood, how much, if any, of Aunt Lydia's backstory she had in mind already when she wrote The Handmaid's Tale. Or if the backstory came, when she started preparing for the Testaments. I've heard many authors say that they know everything, every little detail about their characters. Their birthdays, their favorite color, their shoe size, everything that you could possibly know. And the reader won't necessarily know all of those things, since they're really not essential for the story, but the authors know, and it allows the characters to become very real. And I wonder if this is true for Atwood, and I also wonder how much of the series influenced the novel, or how much of this novel will now influence the series. For example, Offred's baby isn't named in The Handmaid's Tale, but is baby Nicole in the series. And baby Nicole is in the book as well, and we learn what happens to her. The novel and the series stand on their own, but they also seem to be linked now too. So I thought that this was, just an excellent follow-up. And although I didn't like that there were 2 winners for the Booker Prize in 2019, I can see why this won it. And I have a feeling that I will feel the same when I read Girl, Woman, Other, which will hopefully be early in this new year. So please let me know if you have read the Testaments and what you thought of it, or if you haven't had a chance to read it, would you consider reading it? Have you watched the series on TV? I look forward to chatting with you in the comments, and I look forward to finishing this series with you tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.